Back. In this video we'll explain how to add columns in Revit. Since will be the first element after adding the grid lines and elevations, the levels will be the first element that we're adding to Revit. We will explain most of the things in detail, since we're going to dive into families, dimensions, editing dimension. There will be a lot of things in the beginning, which in the later videos we're not gonna go into detail of all of these things. Now, to do this practice, we have this example. So we say the first thing is to read the grid lines and construct them in Revit. Now the grid lines are easy to be seen here. However, for the levels, we say we're going to look at the sections. So for this project, since we're trying to add columns, usually columns start at the top of the foundation till the top floor. Now, there are a lot of things that it might come through your head, because some teacher says that, let's say if this is the top of the foundation, this is the column. The column, it's the top of the foundation until the bottom of the beam. And for the second one will be the top of the slab till the bottom of the beam. This is mostly known as column. Well, in Revit, when we're placing the column, it's okay to place the column overall. It's okay to place the column from the bottom, let's say from the top of the footing till the top. Now the reason, you will understand it later. When we place the beam, then Revit will replace this part with the beam. For example, when we place a beam and slab, Revit will take care of this extra material. So this part will be the beam and this will be the slab. So Revit will take care of this one. We will discuss this later. For example, later we'll put the beam here, and the slab basically. So this will be the slab. So the column will be replaced by them. This is totally fine in Revit. So you don't need to think, okay, yeah, this is the start of the column till here. No, you can just simply place it from the bottom till the top. So in order to do so, we need some of the elevation. So I started adding, for example, 0, 0, which is the ground level. You might need it in case. If you don't want this one, let's say that it depends on you. Let's say 0.5, which is the bottom of the slab, in case if it is required. Then I might need this one, which is the top of the first floor, and the top of the second floor, which is the top of the second floor. Now, how do I know at which level the column will start? Now I'm looking at the architectural plan. I will not be able to see where is the start point of the column. Why? Because we know that the column will start on the top of the foundation, and foundation plan is civil engineering plan. So we're going to look at the plan to make sure that I have the level which is going to be the bottom of the column. So in order so, we're going to go to the foundation plan. So this is the foundation plan, we have it. I understand this is a Revit or like a raft foundation or mat foundation. Which one required for me? The top of the foundation. The top of the foundation, as you can see it here. As you can see, this is 0.5. So this is the bottom of the columns. The bottom of the columns will be at 0.5. So I need 0.5 in the elevation. I have it the top of the first floor, the top of the second floor. I need them. Why? For later use for the beam, for the slab as well. And even I can use this one later for the foundation, for example. We can call this one top of foundation. 0.5 can be top of foundation. So as you know, you open Revit, you already explained this one. I need you to do the same thing, so we're going to put this as a PDF, or at least the grid lines, the things, or the drawing, so that you will draw these things by yourself, all the grid lines, and the elevations on the other side. So this is basically ground level 50 centimeter, or you can just name it as top of foundation, since it is the same thing. So top of foundation. This is 50 centimeter, 350 centimeter, 650 centimeter, which is going to be 6.5 meter. Now all of this has been set. All of these things has been set. By the way, I didn't explain too much detail of this grid lines, the things, but there are a lot of other information that you can get, regarding how you manage these grid lines. I told you can use copy paste, or like managing the way I just did here. Now I have all of the grid lines. Yes, so what we want to do, we need to see the foundation plan. Now in order to see foundation column plan, we can look at the foundation, or we can also look at the, for example, the architectural plan. In order to place the column, there is one thing you have to keep it in mind, is the column continues from the first, the foundation till the second, till the roof, or there is some discontinuity. Now in order to know this one, you have to look at the, for example, the sections here, or for example the elevation, to see if there is a part of the wall or the part of the building is not continuous. It's okay if you do a mistake. In Revit it easily can be managed, but it's better in the beginning to look at them to see if there is any non-continuous column. Well, we're starting with the ground floor. This is the ground floor, so I will check that this is a column, I have it here. This is a column, I have it here. Now there is one information missing for me. It is 25, but the other dimension of the column is not clear on this dimension, on this drawing. But I can simply go back to the civil engineering, which I have the same column here, 25 by 60. So you might say this is easier. This is easier. Yes, in case that there is not too many detailing here, so it might be easier to know the location of the column. Now you realize that there is different columns. I have it there, 25 by 60, 25 by 120, 60 by 25, or you can say 25 60, 25 60, different columns I have it. Well, let's go to Revit and try to place one column, because we have a lot of information to specify. Well, where is this column? Look, these two line, basically indication for what? For the grid line B and the grid line 1. So this is the location of the grid line 1 and B. Well, we'll discuss them because you have to keep looking in the different drawings to understand their location. Well, we're going to go to Revit. Now in Revit, in order to place column, you can be in any of the level, it doesn't matter, but I said in the levels. So you have to be in the plan. You can activate any of this plan, it doesn't matter. But you have to know where are you. It's very important to know where are you, but as I said, it doesn't matter. I can double click on the top of the foundation. Look, I'm on top of the foundation, so I know that the columns will start from here and go to top. So this is why it's important. You have 3 levels. If you are here, you will draw the columns to the top. If you are at any of the level, so I recommend, for example, the 2, doesn't matter, because even if you are here, you will draw it twice. If you are at the top, you will draw the columns to down. This is 2-way in Revit. We have it. We can draw things up and down. So we're going to explain this one to see what does it mean. It's up to you, but you have to remember, wherever you are, you need to know which plan is active, because when we're drawing the column, it's important to specify the direction of the drawing. So I'm on the top of the foundation. What we want to place column. Remember, in architecture also we have column, We have column. When you open the column in architecture, you will see structural column, column architectural. So remember, even if you are in architecture, you have to choose structural column, which I prefer you to go to the structural tab, then click on the column. When you click on the column, I might ask you to save the project. Let's say that I want to save it later, but it's recommended to be saved. So let's say I want to just, no, I don't want to set the reminder. I'm just canceling it. If you ask, you can save the project because Revit is asking if you want to save the project in order not to be lost. Now, when you're clicking on the column, what does Revit will do? Will bring families. Now, what does families mean? The first thing is going to change. If you remember, we said that we have the property tab. This is one change, and you have a new thing here, which mainly the light green, and something else here which is related to the active. Look, whatever you're activating something, the three part of the Revit interface is going to change. One is the property tab. Second, you will have some detailing for the drawing, and then there will be something else for modifying the active command. Column is active, yes. How do you know column is active? You can just read it from here. It says in place structural column. There are some information here, there's some property here, there's some other properties in this green line. So those are the three parts you have to pay attention to them. Look, first thing, if you have a slanted column or like inclined column, you have to activate this one. If it is vertical, this is vertical. This is. Then there's two things that we have it here. We'll come back to this one, whether to place it at the intersection or inside somewhere that you want to place it, if there is architectural plan. Sometimes we said that Revit will be used by different disciplines, so the architecture already created the columns. We will put our column inside it because we have a structural column. We'll put the structural column, for example, over the architectural column. That's something else. Now, before we will come here, this is the tab when we will choose the type of the column that we have it. So you see, for example, this is a rectangular column. This is different. This is a steel columns we have it. Steel columns. Well, how much I wanted? The first one I was trying to put is 25 by 60. Well, I don't have 25 by 60 here. Yes? But it doesn't matter. You will choose one of this. Let's say I'm choosing 300 by 450. It doesn't matter. Any of them. Any of them. You can choose any of those because they are rectangular column we have it. Then we will click on the edit type. Edit type. It will come here. In order to not lose any of these columns available, first we want to duplicate it and duplicate the things that we have. We'll click on the duplicate. Now, for the duplication, when it ever asks you name, I recommend you to write the names the way that you want. For example, in some places they will say C stands for column, and I want to write 25 centimeter. It's up to me. 25 cross 60 centimeter. This is the naming. Whatever you put name, it doesn't matter, but it's recommended to place naming because later, if you want to put this name on the plan, it will directly come as this way, C2560. Or you just want to have the C, just write 2560 centimeter or millimeter, it doesn't matter. It's just a name, but it's better to be representative. At least if you want to put this name on the plan, it directly will bring this name for you. Because in Revit, we have a command that the tagging will tell the Revit that tag the columns. Tagging basically will tell that bring the name. So if this name will appear on the drawing. Well, this is something I don't want to go into detail of it. Just a name, but to be representative for the things. So we have 25 by 60. Then you will see the dimension B and H. I can change this one to be 25 and this one to be 60. You can delete like this. 60, since the dimension is centimeter, No need to write centimeters, just write 25, it will accept it. 25 by 60. Now, can I write 60 by 25? Still okay, yes. I mean, the only difference will be what? The column that will be having, whether like this or like that. It's possible. Or we can use rotate command from one to get to other. I mean, if any of them that you have, it doesn't matter. Sometimes the placement of the column is different, so we can just simply rotate them using rotate command. Now, the other things, we'll just leave them the way for now, if there is something. Now, you don't need to go for the preview, just press OK. Now, you will realize that here in the list, you have the one that active, 25 by 60. You can add as many columns you want according to the things that you have. So, the first column we want to place it was at B and 1. B and 1. But you realize that it's not the same direction. It's okay because we have to use rotate, move command that you're going to learn here. So we're going to place it at this B1 or 1B, whatever you call it. So you can just simply click at this one, yes, but before clicking, you have to specify something which is here. So, what do we have modification? We have rotate after placement. Yes, because we know the column that we have, it is not like this. We need to rotate it, so I can activate this one. Then, these two are very important, because I told you that the location that you are standing or staying, it's important for us. Where are we? We are at the top of the foundation. How we want to draw? We want to draw to the top, yes? We want to draw to the top. So, the first one we're choosing it, we'll say height. I mean, what do you want to provide for drawing? There's two things, depth or height. Remember, for depth, it means that you are drawing down. For height, it means that you're drawing up. This is the two things, the height and the depth. Since we're on the top of the foundation, we're going to draw the columns to top, so we're going to choose height. This is first. So choosing height. Then, the second part of it, up to which level you want to draw this column. I told you it doesn't matter. You can, for example, first floor. If the column does not continue till the second floor, you can draw it till the first floor. If not, choose to top of the floor. If you have a specific height, you can just say unconnected and put the dimension, the height of the column. There's different ways to do it. For us here, we want to draw the column from the top of the foundation till the second floor. Don't worry, later we can add, edit, anything that column if you want. Remember, Revit has this opportunity to edit things easily without redoing from the beginning. So that's why, no worries, if you make a mistake, you can always edit it rather than deleting it and redoing it. So we want to go to the top of the second floor. Now this is set. Well, if I click somewhere here, like this is where we have it, yes? If you select this one, there is a different way people can do it. If you click on this one, this is for multi-selection. For example, if I select like this, for example, all the intersection will have the column. Look, will have the column. All the intersection will have the column. And it will ask me, do you want to approve it or not? I'll say cancel. This is if you have the same column, and the easy way to place the column at all the intersection is this one, add grid intersection. Add grids intersection, it will just select all the grids, their intersection automatically one column will be placed. I mean, it's equally spaced, all the intersection you have column, you can use that one. But we know that unfortunately it's not that much easy, so we have to choose manual. So I'm going to click at this corner, at this intersection here. Now, I'm going to place escape, yes, because it's finished, yes, I just want to place it here. We can place differently. If there is another place have the same thing, I can place it but all of them will be linked. So remember this one. If you don't want the column to be linked, you can press escape, and then redo it again. But if I have the same column, 25 by 60, like how many columns do I have it there? Let's say this is 60 by 25, doesn't matter. This is also, we have it here, 25 by 60, 25 by 60. Yes, I can place those two as well. For example, this is at 7A, at 6A, I can place them. So I can go there. For example, I can place at 7A, I can place, was it A or B? Oh, it's A. I can place one at 6A as well. Since it's the same column, so I can add, let's say, we have others, but I'm not going to go into detail of all of them. Just placing. So let's say you placed all the columns that you have it. You press escape. Another escape, twice escape. You get rid of the column. Now this one, we need to rotate it. So let's say if it didn't rotate by itself while doing it, you can simply select the column. Look, wherever you press escape, click on that column, what will happen? You will see that again the structural column will come, the properties will come back again. You have some information from where does it start, base level, where does it go, top of the second story. We have a lot of detailings, we'll discuss them later. Now if we go to one of the elevations there, for example north, you can see the columns starting from top of the foundation till the top of the second floor. If I go to 3D, also from 3D we will see the columns that we have them. See the columns. So depending on your view versions of Revit, you might see different 3D. In a newer version, 2020-21, you can see the levels here as well. It's nice, and we can show it to you as well in these views as well. Sometimes we can add. I'm not sure from which version they started, but in some versions you'll see the levels here. It will be nice to know exactly the levels. So let's see what else we have to do. We still haven't finished. Why? Because we said that they are not the way it's supposed to be. Yes, it's not finished. Not finished. Now, do you see this detailing here? Whenever I'm closing it, you'll see this cross section. It's like concrete. Yes, this is because of what you have it here. You have different views here, visual styles. At the bottom, we said that we have some scalings or detailing here. So there is one scale, and the first two is for the views, visual views. Now what are those visual views? Now there's three detailing we have it here. There's coarse detail, there's fine, medium, and fine detail. Those are important if you have a lot of detailings. Sometimes you have layers. For example, you'll add color walls, there is layers, or for slab there is layers. Sometimes you will put, or in the reinforcement when we have it, we can change those to coarse, fine. The detail, if you want to see a lot of detail, you'll go for fine. And for example here, coarse, it's okay. The other one we have it is the visual style. How would you want to see? For example, wireframe, it's just basically lines. It's just normal lines. Or sometimes you want to see things inside, it's shaded or realistic or hidden lines. So a lot of things that you can manage this one. This will be affected in the 3D normally. For example, if I go for let's say realistic, but you will see that their color change. Why? We'll come back to this one again. I didn't go for materials, but we'll discuss this one in a bit. Now this is realistic. Now if I click on the column again, if any of, for example, click on the column, we'll have this part active here. Yes, but active here. Now what else is important here? Now the material, structural material here. You'll see at this point here, if I can make it bigger, let's see. Within the material and finish, because we said that sometimes we have around their things, we have finishing layers. Yes. Now this is by itself, there is something there. There's something there because we said that those are families. Yes. It was already written, for example, concrete rectangular column. Yes. Yeah. I can go into detail of them. Which is clicking on this small icon here, small icon. I think I don't have materials. Alright, this basically I have to go and edit the material. So let's say I'm not going to go on editing the material here. Well, if you click inside it, or let's say not going for that parameters, we'll go inside here. Inside here, there is a 3 dot. You will see there, 3 dot. I can click on that 3 dot here to bring me the detail of the material we have it there. We have it there. So now, if normally when we're installing the Revit, there is a material library that will be installed with Revit by itself. Depending on the material library, when the required material will be inside it. So how big is your material library is, that's basically depends on the installation file. Some people, they download the different material library and they will install it into Revit. By default, it has some, but it might not have everything that you're looking for. As civil engineer, we might go wherever we want it. Now, when the material opens here, you can choose the different materials that are there. You can write the name here, it's easy. For example, I write concrete, so I'll bring all the concretes to me. For example, we have concrete cast in place, 35 megapascal, concrete masonry unit, something else for the blocks, for example, concrete cast in situ, concrete cast in place grade, concrete sand cement screed, render. Those are not concrete. Now, somebody said, what are the difference between those? Each of them, they have material, different styles, different things. For example, you can choose this one. You will see it here, the color, the texture. For example, clicking on this one will bring the property for that one. I mean, identity, appearing, physicals. For some projects, some project, the materials, when you're selecting them, you will go and specify a lot of information. Now, what are the information? We told you that Revit can be used for different purposes, not just civil engineering. I told you we use Revit to analyze the thermal exchanges, or the thermal analysis we call it, for the temperature in the buildings. Or like any other things, that the concrete that you have, you will see that the materials there, the Poisson's ratio, the shear modular density, for example, the compressive strengths, yield strengths, tensile. If you have all the information, you can place them here. Why? Later, when we do the bill of quantity, things will be arranged according to the properties. For the columns, the 35 megapascal columns will be separated. Why? Because when you're ordering the concrete, you have to know that this is a 35 megapascal concrete. The cost of it will be different. The cost of this material will be different. So we can also provide cost at this level here. We'll come back to this one, manufacturer model, whatever it is. For example, we can add the cost of it for the cost analysis. Now, we're not going to go to graphic appearance. Those are something that gray, whatever it's look like. But we said that whatever you're choosing it, now let's say that for this one, I'm going to choose cast in situ, or it's already selected cast in place gray, doesn't matter. So let's say that will be enough for the materials here. We will provide the materials property in case if we need you to add it to them. So say columns, material property like this, cost is like this, whatever the information required can be given. We're not going to go into detail, but just simple information that we need to know. Now let's say that we have it's already, so you have to make sure it's concrete, or not something else, not something else. Now, we have to rotate the columns the way that, and move them according to the actual location on the drawings. Now first we will start by rotating this one, rotating this column, since we know from the drawing it will be horizontally. We know the actual location of it will be something like this. I mean, might come like this. But first, let's rotate it, then we will move them according to the location. Now, rotating any object in Revit has the same principle of rotation in AutoCAD. First, select the object. It's not like AutoCAD to have Revit command. An easy way to do, select the element. Then when the modifying toolbar opened, you can see from the modify toolbar here, you have rotate. So you click on the rotate, click on the rotate. Now, Revit will ask you click to rotate a line. Now, Revit work in this manner. It will tell you, for example, specify a line. Let's say I'm clicking somewhere here. Then it will start asking me another angle to rotate. You can see it on the screen. So here, why Revit is providing this one, sometimes you have the grid lines. You have placed that you can use it as a reference. So first click, I did somewhere horizontal. You could do it vertical, it doesn't matter. Then, for example, as soon as I move toward, for example, you don't need to put the angle. You can come on this one. You will see on the screen, as a dashed line, this is what will be, after rotation. So you need another click here. You'll see the column will be rotated according to its center. So regarding to the center will be rotated. This is an easy way to rotate. It's nothing, just 2 clicks required. You select, rotate, so this line will appear. For example, I want to rotate it from here till here. I will come back the same way. Yes, I can rotate it like this. It will come back to be. So I can rotate it at any angle. So one click first and then another one to specify the angle. Now here nothing changed because I rotated 180 degrees, just to explain the procedure. Now, we need to also move them in order to place them at the correct location. Now, how do I know how much movement we needed here? Now, the movement of the columns depends on the grid lines. Since when we draw column, we're using the grid lines. Now you realize that this grid line is not at the center of the column. You can see it from here. It is not at the center. So we have to move it in order to bring the center of the grid line to this point here. So we know that the center is somewhere here, because when we placed the column by the center. The grid lines are like this. So we have to move basically in a way that this center to come here. This is what we have to do. So basically we're moving it in a way that, so this will be the movement we have. Yes, if this is the center I have it, you have to move down and to the left and right in order to bring this one to the actual location. But the question is how much we have to move. Now this cannot be seen from here. Why? Because the grid line made by the architecture. So we're going to go back to architectural plan in order to see that column and exactly how much we're supposed to move. Now this is the column we have it. Now you realize this grid line is at the center of this wall. So this is the grid line here, the center of this wall. So this is 10. And we know that the column is 25. So this is 10. And this part will be 15. So we know that we found out how much we're supposed to move this one up and down. So there is two ways. We're not going to move the grid line. Remember, the grid line's location are specific. We have to move the column. So you have to move the column in order to manage this one. You will see how to move them. Don't worry about it. Then, on the other direction, I need to know, yes. Why? Because we know that on the other direction as well, this is not at the center of the column. Now we know the location of this one is the center of this wall, so this dimension is 10. So we know that this is 10, and we know the total column is 60, so the remaining will be 50. The remaining will be 50. So this is 10, and this is 50, because total is 60. Now we know already this is 10 as well. So you realize that this 10, 10 comes from the 10 of the wall, because the wall is 20, and the grid lines made based on the center of the wall. So the column will be moved in a way that this corner to be 10 by 10, 10 by 10. Well, let's see how we're going to do this one in Revit. Well, we have the column, it's drawn based on the center, so we just have to move this column in a way that to bring it. So let's see how the moving is work. The column is activated, active, and by one click, not double click. Remember, please do not double click on the column. Double click on the column will take you somewhere else. So one click on the column is activation. Double click will go into modifying family, which I don't want you to go there. Now let's say that by mistake you double click on it. What will happen? Like something new will open. It will take you to another screen. That's basically family. Family editing. It is totally different. Totally. If you by any chance come here, just click load into project and close. Click on this one. Do not touch anything. And if I ask you, do you want to save any change to this one? We'll say no. You don't want to edit the family. The family. So it might happen to you. So one click is activating. I'll bring it here. Now we have move command there. Move command. Now when you click on the move command, you have to click somewhere to move. I recommend to click on the center or at this corner. Now what does that mean? There is an easy way to explain. We want to move this in this direction, and we move it down as well. Yes. Why? Because if you check now, this is 12.5, that is 12.5, because the total is 25. We want it to be what? We want it to be 10 by 15. So the actual now we have it is 12.5 by 12.5, because the column we have it is 25 by 60. Remember, this column is 25 by 60. So if you know the actual dimensions, for example, now this dimension here, it's 30 by 30, which we don't want like this. We want it to be 10. We want this side to be 10 and this side to be 50. So if you do some calculation, you know how much you have to move it to the other direction. This one we need to 10. Now remember, from 30 we will make it 10. Yes, so we have to move 20 in this direction, because this is the actual one. Remember, the 30 is the actual one. We want to change it to 10, so we'll move it in this direction. So the direction, if I just make them different color, this movement here will be 20 to this direction. How much you have to move it down in order to change this 12.5 to 10? 2.5. I can move it down 2.5. We will see it now. If I move 2.5, this 12.5 will be 10. So, and this will change the rest of them. This will to 50 and this one to 50. 15, 50. Let's check. So as soon as you click on the move, it will ask you to click somewhere. It doesn't matter. Let's say I'm clicking at that corner. That corner. So I can click. Let's click anyway. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the idea is to move into two directions. So I click here. Then I'll just try to move the mouse horizontally, and I will type 20. Then the column will be moved 20. Then I'll repeat the move command as well. Click on the move. Click on any point. This time I'm moving down, which we know 2.5. Remember, the dimension I have it in this project is centimeter, so 2.5 centimeter. Remember, please, if it is meter, you have to provide meter. 2.5, 2.5. Now I'll press escape to get rid of this one. Now how do I check? How do I check if this column is at the right location? I need to measure the dimension. Yes, so the easy way to do, we're going to go to annotate, go to annotate. Very easy, we click on this aligned. We can click, you realize that the top one will be active, then this one will be active. You click on it, you'll see that it's 10 centimeter. No need to place it, press escape. You can just simply click on the aligned again. From this one, you click here and you click on this one, you'll see this is 10 as well. For example, if I click on this side, I can see this is 50. It's a bit big, but you can realize it's 50. Just to check, I'm not going to place them, press escape, I'll deactivate everything. So this is how you move a column. Let's move the other two as well. For example, I'm going to move this one. Well, the idea is what? To check the plan, to see how is the actual way of looking at it. For example, this one, yeah, this is the axis line, which this part will be 10 here. So you realize that this is going through the center of the wall, which is 10 here, and this side will be 10, this will be that's 15. And for the other things, which we know that, which we know that this top as well will be 10. So the same thing, we will move it in a way that to bring the 10 10 we have it, the 10 10 will be here. So we move it in a way that this two corner to be 10 10. So we know now, realize that how much we have to move it, for example, because it's the same column. So we know if this corners became 10 10, we know that 20 in one direction, 2.5 in the other direction, in order to get it. So this is when click on the column and move. I can move this one down 20, because we know that it will go down 20. Now the remaining at the top became 10, and we'll move it into the, will be left, again move command, to the left 2.5, and we will have the 10 10 at this corner. For the other one, I believe is the same thing, which is from the plan, you will see that this corner is the 10 10. Remember, it might not always will be 10 10, so you have to make sure it's 10 10, because the column here, the wall is 20, so I know that this is the center of the wall, which is will be 10. This is the same thing, a 20 centimeter wall. That's why we know that that small corner will be 10 10. Then accordingly, we'll move this one as well. So this will be the way that you're dealing with column. Remember, I told you in the beginning, you could provide a different grid lines. If you provide a different grid lines, you might not need that move options. Imagine if you had, look, that was in the beginning, I told you in the first class, if you had a grid line here and a grid line, sorry, it was not the center, a grid line somewhere here, which you could directly, look, those two red grid lines are temporary grid line, yes, but when I place the column, it will be placed by the center of this grid line, so it will go to the actual place of itself. This is possible if you add extra grid line. For example, I would add A prime grid lines, and for example, this is whatever 7 prime grid line, I will add them. But those will be extra grid line, I have to add them, and that's possible. By the center of the columns, I can add my own grid lines in order not to deal with the movement. So if you, I told you in the beginning, if you're good at calculating how much is this distance, for example, this is 2.5, this is, for example, 20, you have to add axis 22.5 here, which will be the same thing as the movement. So which one you prefer doesn't matter. Whether adding the grid lines, extra grid lines, which later you need to delete them in order to have all of the grid line there, or you can just simply use the move command in order to manage this process. So this is basically how we're adding column to Revit. Remember the procedure: you activate column in a structural tab, just summary, click on the column. Then we said there will be 3 options here. Make sure it's vertical here, then make sure which plan you are the things that I will highlight them in order to remind you. This is one part here. You will be in the structural plan. Which one it is important? Why? Because that will be defining how you draw, whether top or bottom, depth and height. Then we said that here you will choose the type of the column that you have it. Not always you have the columns that inside it, so you'll choose one, then you'll click on the edit type that you will duplicate, and it will change the dimension. Then we'll say that after managing these things you'll place it. Then most probably you need move and rotate after placing the columns. After placing the column you might need move and rotate in order to manage the column the way appearing on the plan. One things we said that as well, the material, it's important to make sure that the material is concrete, which that's why I told you to choose from the concrete list, that the column will be concrete. But if we have specific properties for the concrete, we have to be sure that we have different materials there. I mean, we can go to there and choose the material from the list. Now, if I believe that, or if I'm going to ask you for different materials, I'll prepare a different video, short video, how to edit or add a new material according to the things that you have it. Make sure you always check this one. By default in some computers the slanted is activated. We said this one, the multiples, if you have all the columns similar, you can just use this one. If you have a symmetric plans, it's the easiest way to place. Instead of clicking one by one, you will use add grids, select all the grids, automatically the things will be placed. Now, which one are the important? We said that the locations, I mean the location, we have it here, the locations, the way that you're placing it, the dimensions that you're going to edit type, the material, and those are the things. Yeah, we have a lot of other things that you can change them, but those are the main things that I need you to focus on them. And then sure, we said after finishing the placement, you can click on the column with edit, you can move and rotate. Those are depending, not always necessary, but you might need them in order to place the column at the right location. Thanks for listening.